Welcome, ladies and gerbils. This is another edition of Cleanpin, and here we are live from the automobile of your buddy old pal, your amigo, your compadre from the Breachers Sports Show. Man, a lot of wrestling news to get into. News, rumors, speculations, as our some might say, male soap operas. But this is all something that we all love in our wrestling. Gotta have the wrestling. Anyways, on this channel here, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. I talk not only about wrestling, but I talk about other sports as well. Yes, there is other things besides wrestling. I do talk, NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB. We do all that jazz, or at least we try to. So please do subscribe. Have other two channels, which is Tom Brand One Thoughts. I gotta change that name. That really does not click all too well. That's more of like trips, adventures, vlogs, nostalgia, yada yada yada. And then I do the Tom Brand One, which is like little sketches, short stories, jokes, and so on and so forth. So let's go on to the wrestling news, because really that's all that we care about. Really, where to start, as the week has been filled with wrestling news. One of the pioneers of old school, R.I.P. to Rocky Johnson. When you look at Rocky Johnson from back in the day, Rocky Johnson passed away. I believe he was 75, is what the reports are. Back in the day, being that I live in the New York City metropolitan area, the only way how I knew Rocky Johnson was through old house shows, tapes, MSG. Back in the day, I remember MSG house shows, and you would see Rocky Johnson was prominent during that time on the house shows here in the WWF. Seeing him with Don Morocco Intercontinental title. I think I recall seeing. I remember when he was a tag champ. I remember seeing that match too. Far and few between, obviously, that. I do remember of Rocky Johnson, because it was a little bit before my time. But I know, guy had a strong physique, strong man. When you see some of his matches, probably one of the best drop kicks in the business. He gave you that drop kick, and the guy would just go flying across the ring. Strong dude, built like an ox. It was full of charisma, very full of charisma. And you could see where, how that charisma and some of the manners and the way that his son, The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and that kind of got passed down to The Rock, that charisma. So you see where The Rock got his charisma from. No official word as to what he died of, but he was in, I guess, a communication with a fellow, I think, wrestler, and what's been circling around the internet, and in Blair there, and he said that he was just feeling ill. They were saying, that he should go check it out, but he just thought it was under the weather or flu or something of that regards, and there's no word yet as to what he passed away of, but at 75, one of the pioneers, and in an era where everything that you did everything that it looked believable, and that guy really made it a point to make it look believable, and you never questioned anything. You were like, that dude is strong as an ox. So rest in peace to Rocky Johnson. A different time, a different era. This again peeks its ugly head out. I remember that this kind of circulated before, and now it's popped its head out. It's popping its head out because of Sergeant Slaughter. A question of did he serve, didn't he serve, during what time did he serve, what times didn't he serve, how long did he actually serve for, if he at all served in the Army. And Sergeant Slaughter is getting flack, because he lied. Because he lied. Now, remember, I said Sergeant Slaughter, the character, all the times in question when he would be bringing, during that time, and he shouldn't be getting this flack, during the time many years ago, 35 years ago, you guys know that everything in wrestling, the good old days where everything was kept hush-hush, kayfabe. So, of course, when he was doing interviews, he was in character. He was protecting the business, protecting his character. He was not going to do something unheard of and do something to wreck his character, wreck the business. That's unheard of, doing something like that in the early to mid 80s. He wasn't going to do that, so of course he said what he had to have said to protect his character, protect the business. You gotta give him some slack. I mean, come on, guys. Nowadays, even now, if he would have said that, and this is coming up from, it's not even something that he said recently. This is coming up from like a newspaper article in the 80s. And it's making its news, it's making its rounds. Guys, I don't even know, this was, and maybe some people even don't understand it even now, but this was a time back then where the business was being protected, and all that he was doing is what he thought was best, and I'm sure he didn't mean any harm by it, no disrespect. He was protecting the business that he loved, the career that he loved, and his character that he was investing into. And he was the character 24/7, I'm sure, just like the Undertaker. If you remember, he did everything that he could to protect his character back then, when in kayfabe. I believe in that Broken Skull Sessions, he even said that his wardrobe was full all black. Everything, every single thing that he owned at one point was black, just to keep that aroma, that character of the Undertaker alive and visible. Make sure there was any lines blurred. He wanted to keep that character going. So that's all that Sergeant Slaughter was doing. And to bring that up now again, come on. All that Sergeant Slaughter was doing was just to protect his character. Speaking of a character, that I liked, that I thought had so much potential, was EC3. EC3, although it was a smaller pond in TNA, he reinvented himself. and was a big was a main eventer in TNA. EC3 was Derek Bateman at NXT, at WWE Developmental first, got let go, reinvented himself with the persona of EC3, got some buzz, and was signed by WWE again, NXT, and he went down to the NXT brand, did all right, didn't do anything spectacular, but did all right. And then, he remembered that he debuted on Raw with it was kind of like a mass call-ups. He's called up with some other people as well. But to me, in those call-ups, he was like the main guy being called up. I think Sanity was one of them being called up, and he was there. I think he had star written all over him in that EC3 character, especially what it did in TNA. Smaller stage, but you figure bigger pond now. With the WWE machine behind it, it could be that it would be tenfold. It would be that much greater and better. Had potential. And then it just never seemed to pan out for EC3 again. Right now, from what I understand, he's dealing with concussions, I believe. Or he was dealing with a concussion that kept him off of TV. But even when he was on TV, he was chasing after the hardcore title. Prior to that, he really, the only thing of significance was that he had was defeating Dean Ambrose, who was on his way out. And really, that's it. That's EC3's recent run. And the rumor, the story this week that circulated is that kind of Vince McMahon has lost faith in him. He tried pairing him up with Drake Maverick. I think when I say tried, I think it was just like one time during like a house show. They paired them up, and he didn't like that the way the pairing went, and that's it. Apparently, he lost faith and confidence in him, and apparently, how this story goes is even if, let's say, Paul Heyman wanted to write him in, give him something a little bit more TV time, and apparently he wouldn't get far because Vince wouldn't give the stamp of approval. And I don't know why. I mean, EC3 looks like $1 million. He does, got the physique. He looks the part. He looks like, if you can use an analogy, I think this guy, EC3, is the original MJF. To agree. That's MJF. EC3. Good on the stick. Don't get it. What happened with EC3? I mean, and listen, no disrespect to No Way Jose. If No Way Jose is on the TV screen, guys like this, why ain't EC3 on the TV screen? So if we have to reverse this now, if we have to kind of reverse the damage, you might have to repackage. I think that's what you have to do. You have to repackage EC3. You know what I would do? And it could work even for like a character like No Way Jose. Who is, I think, floundering, flopping all over the place. Take a guy like No Way Jose. This could work. Hear me out. No Way Jose. Maybe take another guy like, you could bring in another guy like Heath Slater. One of these type of guys. The whole premise, the whole point around here is to be EC3 being like the main guy. You know, he's got that frat. He looks like EC3 looks like he could be in a typical college frat, like you know, boat shoes, popped collar, and fruity tooty like looking short pants. And you could do like these type of vignettes where, you know, fratty scholar type, or just a complete complete frat douche, and you know, they go and do vignettes and they're on boats and they're doing, you know, playing beer pong or getting tans or just being sophomoric. And you can work around it that way and have it like being like this type of a stable. Now, you can't have the stable being like a complete goof, being jobbers, but you could do something where, you know, something like that. I think it's not too far off of who they are, and they could pull it off. You know, throw in a Curtis Axel. You need someone to be the straight man, you know, like the straight guy of the group, where, you know, he's like dry sense of humor, like maybe a Curtis Axel. You could put them all together, you know, like, you know, EC3 could be like the fratty, you know, again, frat boy or rich frat kid, something like that would work with the right vignettes. Them at beach, you know, being rude to females, or doing corny corny pickup lines, you know, something like that, where just being douches, being douches, just a little extension of what that character is, and I think it will work. There's no reason why EC3, there's no reason why you can't find anything for EC3 to do on the TV screen. Hopefully he finds his way, and hopefully Vince's opinion, his mind changes of his mindset changes of EC3. Elias has just apparently re-signed a new deal. He has signed an extension. Walk with Elias. Walk with Elias. Elias, you know, was really hot a year or two ago. You know, Elias was really hot, and you know, then it kind of cooled down and it fizzled. And to me, you know, then he was injured, and he's kind of, to me anyway, lost his place a bit. Back now, he's back after a long injury, and he's going back to performing, to singing. You know, so he was a heel, then he was a face, then he was a heel again. I mean, I honestly lost track. But, you know, he's yet to really wrestle a match, but he's on TV, which is a good thing. He is getting a reaction. And he was, you know, getting a lot of segments at one point. Sometimes even getting like 2 segments on Raw. You know, he came out with a CD, for goodness sakes. So, Elias, he's just kind of now, it seems like he's just there, and they really don't know what to do with him majority of the time, except that the man could sing, and you know, he gets a reaction, so that works. It's just, I don't think when you look at Elias at this point right now, I don't think that he has really that he has really had a really memorable match that he could hang his hat on. And I think Elias needs like a special. He hasn't really gelled well, I think, when it comes to finding that right opponent where he could quote unquote dance with. But I think it's a great sign that he is on TV. He is on TV, and eventually, what I think will happen with Elias, eventually it will all pan out. It'll all fall into place. I really think what Elias has to do is just keep doing what he's doing, because he's getting a reaction. He is getting a reaction, which, what's more than, half the struggle is getting a reaction. And that's what he's doing, is getting a reaction. So I think for a guy like Elias, it will eventually pan out. I think eventually they will figure it out with him. I mean, they're still putting him on TV, and it does not seem to be getting old. So I like that Elias has resigned. I am still walking with Elias. So it's glad that Elias has got himself a new deal, and I think he will do good. I think 2020 you'll be seeing more out of Elias. He definitely picked it up. He's one of those guys where a lot of fans now probably are saying, well, I don't want this guy to come to Raw or SmackDown. I want him to stay in NXT. Elias probably will tell you that he couldn't wait to get out of NXT, because it just really, for whatever reason, really didn't mesh, didn't go well for him in NXT. So, it's good that, you have Elias here on your TV for quite some time. A re-debut that you've seen on SmackDown this past week was Roode. And the Roode that you've seen was the mean, vicious Roode. That attack that he did on Roman Reigns, beautifully pulled. And, with Robert Roode back, with Robert Roode, another guy that was, in TNA, that was in TNA. Small pond, came to the ocean in WWE, and just kind of never really, it kind of wore off for Robert Roode as a face, and now they're trying to push him as a heel, and it really is not. I don't know. It just hasn't clicked for Robert Roode. But I think this is the Robert Roode that you need. The vicious Robert Roode. The it factor Robert Roode. I think part of the problem with Robert Roode, and who am I again? I'm just giving you my 2 cents here, is that glorious theme. I'm going to tell you it's the glorious theme, because that theme, at least for now, that theme is like, glorious, where the fans are participating in it. Now he's a bad guy. He's a heel. They don't know what to do. They don't know. Should I sing Glorious with Roode? Should I not? I think that theme confuses a lot of people. They don't know what to do, either to boo or to cheer, and that's why sometimes, it's part of the problem where you're not getting any type of reaction. They're just sitting on their hands. At least with that theme before, that was when he was a face. That was it. Everyone was doing Glorious. There were videos out there, second clips, 5-second clips of people doing the Glorious, and it was good for as a face. And then that slowly wore away, and now he still has that theme as a heel, as a bad guy, and just the fans don't know what to do. So I think it would help. At least it'll be a step in the right direction. We kind of maybe put that theme away, give him a new theme song, since we're supposed to hate Robert Roode, right? Am I right or am I right? I think that would at least begin to start the process in correcting what you have there with Roode. Some AEW news for you. Taz has signed with AEW. And I like the move. I one of the, if I were to nitpick, one of the problems with AEW, not only the women's division, and things kind of just seem to be rushed with AEW for me, but in commentary, I always thought that they needed that heel announcer, where you need that heel announcer, or that tweener announcer, or the guy to just a guy that you need, a guy that to hate, and I think that Taz could play that part. I think that would definitely improve the commentary. Personally, if it was my call, I would love to see Taz, Shivani, and Jim Ross as that new team. But then again, I could see it being Shivani being the odd man out. I could see him being like with the special interviews in the ring, special presentations. I could see, because I think Shivani would do better in that than Excalibur would, if you know what I mean, with the special presentations, special interviews in the ring. I think that's something that Shivani could do better than Excalibur. So I could also see how maybe Shivani would be the odd man out on the announce team. I don't know. That's just me, but I'm sure they will find a good spot for Taz with AEW, and that's good. I like Taz with AEW. And speaking of AEW just re-updated their contract with TNT, so they'll be on for another 2023. Talks about adding another TV show, and I think that TV show is going to eventually be AEW Dark, which is on YouTube right now. I don't think it will be on YouTube for that long. That might be your second show right there, and maybe there you go. That explains where maybe Excalibur or Taz might be the host of. Maybe that's where you put Taz now. Well, that's where you put Excalibur, or whoever it may be. So I think with the talks of another show coming on board, there's plenty of announced jobs to go around. So that's a good thing. That's good. AEW, just in the first couple of months, already gets an extension till 2023. So that's good. That's good, and excited to see what you will see from AEW. Sticking with AEW. Now, look, this is a small minor detail, a small minor that I have. The talk is, and as we know, if you've seen AEW, you've seen Jericho attack Moxley there with a spike from his jacket. And then you hear that, Moxley will be on Jericho's cruise. Now, suspension of disbelief. Why would Jericho allow Moxley to be on the Jericho cruise? Why? Why would he allow him to be on the Jericho cruise? I mean, Jericho hates Moxley in storyline wise. He just put a spike through his eye. Why are you going to allow him on your boat, on your cruise? Suspension of disbelief. Now, I get it. I'm nitpicking. But, why? Why are we doing that? What's the logic? Why would Moxley, want to go on Jericho, and why would Moxley want to go on Jericho's cruise? I would expect where I would be expecting a vignette where Moxley's trying to get on the boat and Jericho just pushes him off and he goes into the ocean with a raft trying to catch the boat. I don't know. Storyline wise, they hate each other. Why would Moxley be on Jericho's cruise? That is my question to you, and I know that I am nitpicking, but just a simple question that I had. We're continuing. Sometimes where think before I act, right? Goes the saying. Triple H was talking about, on an interview, was talking about wrestlers coming back. How he would like to see, Edge and Paige back. But then again, he cares about them as a human being, for their well-being. And then, he goes on, he circles around Paige. And it seems like it was like he was thinking as to what he could say. Like he was trying to think of something witty, trying to make a joke. I don't know why. It was a simple, straightforward question. It wasn't like a joking question to give a joking response to. But he says, well, with Paige, I don't know if she will be back. Who knows how many kids she has to. And that's kind of, and then you hear all the laughter in the room. It almost, to me, sounded like it was an uncomfortable, type of laugh. But people were laughing nonetheless. Paige responded, I guess I get why you guys make fun of me. If my own boss, my own employer makes fun of me too. So what can I expect? And it just didn't look right on Triple H's behalf. Whenever you make that type of a joke, it just does not look right. And it came off bad. Maybe he was thinking he's amongst guys. He felt comfortable with the interviewer. but this was something that was on tape. Even if it's not on tape, you shouldn't be. I mean, you're a professional. You're a CEO of a company giving a company interview. You're a CEO. You can't be doing stuff like that. I know Triple H is a guy, and he probably, he has crude, like, a sense of humor or a salty sense of humor. But, that's something that, as an employer, or as a CEO, when you have employees under you, you can't be given those type of answers, especially after knowing what she's been through, where just week after week after week, stories were coming out. Now, to his credit, he did apologize. But it was fucked up. It was fucked up. I mean, he did apologize. You really don't hear anything about Triple H in that regards and how bad he is. At least, if there are any issues with him that people have had. Everything that you hear, he just gets praise for what he has done with NXT. So I guess you kind of got to let this slide. But come on, Triple H. Listen. People have dark sense of humor. Yeah, and who are we? I guess, everyone finds humor in different things. But that was just a bad look, and it really wasn't even funny. It's to me, it's a sad situation of someone that, was just young, and it seemed to have been, taken advantage of, honestly. Or maybe she didn't make the right choices. But that's a bad look. What also is funny, Twitch suspending Impact Wrestling for Rob Van Dam and his threesome there. 3 is a crowd. It was just a little nip. But then again, Twitch, suspends accounts for just the smallest of things. I get what TNA was trying to do. They're trying to be edgy. Then now you lost another means of getting your product out there. I don't know if Twitch really matters at the end of the day, but I don't think it was that much of a deal. I actually like this segment. Probably Rob Van Dam's better promos in quite some time. I found really nothing wrong with it. A little nipple. Ugh. Come on. It was blurred on access, but that's where it went through with Twitch. No big deal. It's all right. Everyone will live. I hope all is well, and I look forward to speaking to you guys very, very soon. Ciao.